Hello, today you're going to watch me play Batman Arkham Origins and see how to beat Deathstroke. Deathstroke has to be one of the most tedious boss fights in this game. Yeah, he's very tedious, he's hard. This is a guide if you guys need any help. So I'll teach you all the methods and show you my gameplay of how I beat Deathstroke in Arkham Origins. So, yep. And, well, let's get into this. Batman Arkham Origins. How to defeat Deathstroke. Let's go. So this is Deathstroke. There's really one strategy I mainly used to defeat him, and that was the Bat Claw. That was the counter Bat Claw method, which is you counter his attacks and then you use the Bat Claw. This is the most effective method against Deathstroke, but there is a little catch using this. Is that Deathstroke can sometimes dodge your Bat Claw if you're using it too often. So you need to scramble your counters and your Bat Claws, if you know what I'm saying. You really need to scramble them. So, yeah. So if you're watching my gameplay, you can really see how I use the Bat Claw to grapple his little staff. And by the way, there's 2 stages in this boss fight. You might think there's 3, but that 3rd stage is just the ending on how you defeat him. I did die in the middle of this recording, but I guess everybody's died once in this boss fight. But this boss fight is super fun. And still, if you can't defeat him after watching this tutorial, you don't have to really play Origins at all, because it's really just like a little side plot to the actual game. So if you can't really defeat Deathstroke, just try again another day, or just play the rest of the Arkham games. If this is the only Arkham game you have, though, tough luck, I guess. But Deathstroke is a very tedious boss fight. You have to learn strategies for it. And even I died in the middle of this recording. I think I've already told you that. Because he's very, very difficult. It's a very difficult boss fight. So the second stage is about to start, where he flashbangs you, and you gotta counter. Keep countering his attacks until you get to this part. Then you want to beat him down. Beat down. This is where you get a lot of health out of him. Then you knock out his mask. He kind of looks like that one dude from Metal Gear Solid. Yes, I know. Slade does kind of look like him. But yeah, you want to press E to do that little thing. It doesn't really get a lot of health out of him, but it's still some extra damage you can do on him. And then keep doing the counter Bat Claw method. There's not really anything different. There's one more stage I'll talk about, but yeah, just keep doing the counter Bat Claw method. So I'm just giving you a quick spoiler. There is a part where he pulls out his sword. Yeah, just do the same thing on the sword part, but the sword part's a little bit more difficult. And if you see in the recording, there's a part where he grapples that gas can and he brings out his gun. I forgot, when he brings out his gun, when he brings out the grappling hook and grapples that can onto you, you want to press counter a bunch of times, I think. That's what I did. But if he starts shooting at you, do the Bat Claw. I just remembered that, because this will show up later in the recording. If he starts shooting at you with his gun, just start using Bat Claw. That's the best thing you can really do. And what's really funny about this boss fight is this boss fight happens really early into the game, so you don't get much training. A lot of people think this boss fight happens later in the game, but no, this happens 6% into the game on the final offer ship. And this is very early. You don't get much training. If you've played some of the Arkham games, like I've played a bunch of Arkham games before Arkham Origins, you get a little bit of a head start. But if you're starting off with Arkham Origins because you want to play the games in chronological order, you don't really get much training to beat them. So that's why it's really tedious for a lot of people, is because you don't get much training. Because I wish who made this WB Montreal. I wish they put it later into the game than, you know, earlier into the game, so you actually got some training from new players. But this is where tutorials come in handy to teach all the strategies. Back claw, see back claw, bam, bam, and he's gonna do that thing. This is the second stage where the sword comes in, and I think this is near to where I died. This is where see, he gets the staff, hit him in the head. Yeah, beat down, and then pulls out his staff. You hit him kick him in the leg, you break it, and then he pulls out his sword. There's nothing really different, except he has a sword, and yeah, there's not really anything different with this part. So yeah, do the counter back claw method, and also if you're in something where he kind of like he kind of slows down and you see the counter button, counter that. See counter? I just countered that. Counter it. You have to wait till the counter button shows up. I made a mistake there. I didn't wait till the counter button shows up. When you see the counter button show up, that's when you can counter. And sometimes the attack is not even counterable, so you don't know which attack is counterable or not, it's really tough. See, he pulls out this remote grappling hook, and then he grapples that to that can, and then I think I did the counter button, and then he pulls out his gun, and he starts shooting at you. I didn't pull out my black claw for some reason. I just dropped a smoke pellet. I didn't pull out my back claw, and that is, I think, almost where I died. I was at the minimum amount of health, and then I die in a little bit.
So I made a big mistake at this part, and I think it was that I countered a move way too quickly, and I think that was my mistake through this part. In a little bit, I will be defeated, and that's why he's tedious. You always. This boss fight actually took me a couple tries. It took me at least 10 or 11 tries before I beat it, and then I got soft locked, and I had to beat him again. See, I die. And then I've heard this exact same line. You fought well, Batman, but I'm stronger, faster, smarter, and this ends the only way it could. I've heard that line a billion times. And then here's where I start again. So, yeah, defeat Deathstroke again. Don't worry, I don't die again. So when I die, I do the counter back claw method, because sometimes in this recording I did kind of risk it by giving up a punch. Also, if you are at the edge of the arena and you kind of like push him back to the center and you don't hit him, he'll make a crack. I think he'll make a crack about missing an opportunity to get him. So the game really made him a skilled fighter, I guess. So yeah. So here, I'm just gonna let you watch the rest of this recording, and I might talk through some of it. So I think around here is where I got to the first, second stage again, which is, you know, counter a bunch of times, and then you bang, beat him down, beat down, then you knock off his mask, bam, and yeah. Then we see Slade, his true identity, and then make sure to hit that combo takedown. Just a little bit of health gone, but it's still a little bit of health gone. So, yeah. So then here we start the sword stage, I think. So counter. Press that counter about a bunch of times. Bunch of times. Bam! Hit him, count, and then you want to beat down. Until you get to this part. You knock him off his staff, and you break it. Then he pulls out his sword. So then, what you want to do? Hit him. Do the counter back claw method again. There's nothing really different on this. And yes, the reason I died first round is to show you some mistakes that people make when fighting Deathstroke. Is that countering before you see the counter button, and you kind of lose health. And sometimes it's an uncounterable attack, but this is where I do all the things right, and I lose only a bit of health. So then, boom, counter back claw. Counter. Counter. And then we go to this second. See, you want to wait till that counter button shows up. You don't want to just keep spamming counter. You want to wait till the counter button shows up. he's about to do his flash bang thing again. And this is where you counter a bunch of times. And then you go bam. You hit him in the head. Beat down. Beat down. Yeah, you get to this part. Batman absolutely gets that sword like a badass. And then he fights him. And then boom. You beat him.